How you going, guys? Look, we've been flat out busy working lately. Haven't had a chance to upload any new movies. So what I thought I would do is upload our DVD. This was our first, the very start of all our series of Living the Dream. We got it published, but we found it was too expensive to go this way, so we decided to go YouTube. It's a lot cheaper, obviously. It costs you nothing to upload videos to YouTube. But we have quite a few boxes of these left. Started off with about 1,000 videos. I think it cost somewhere around $5,000. So it's obviously much more economical to upload them to YouTube. But anyway, we thought we'd put it on YouTube, have a watch, see what you think. This is our first one, so it takes you right back to the start, the very start of when we first left home for our big trip around Australia. All right, cheers, hope you enjoy it. Hi, we're Kev and Chris Waterhouse, and we'd like you to join us with our adventures of travelling Australia.
We'll be travelling in our Toyota Ute with the teddy on top, towing our caravan.
Camping, fishing and exploring this beautiful country of ours. Welcome to Living the Dream. After catching up with most of our family and friends, we were able to leave Toowoomba, head out through St George, out towards Nindi Gully. We pulled into a disused gravel pit for lunch. While we're there, we were able to pick up a bit of firewood for our camp oven tonight. After setting up camp on the banks of the Moonee River, there was only one more thing left to do.
Go in and have a drink.
Nindi Gully pub was established in 1864. It's one of the oldest continually licensed pubs in Queensland. This place has loads of character, with goats' heads, pigs' heads, and quite a few worn out hats. In the early 1900s, there were about 50 people in 15 houses. Now there's only 6 people in 2 houses, an old general store building and the pub. Some of these were used as props in the Paperback Hero movie. After a couple of quick drinks at the pub, we headed back to our campsite to get a decent fire going to cook our dinner in the camp oven. Alright, we go pop him on the fire. Grab a few coals. Time to put in the peas with a drizzle of mint sauce, all wrapped in alfoil. Peas ready. Look at that. The next destination was Lightning Ridge, and there was plenty of sights to see along the way. The painted silos on the outskirts of Thallon were really spectacular. The little town of Dirranbandi has a great tribute to all that fought in the Great War. There's the Opal Hotel. The original hitching rail is still in place from when it was a Cobb & Co changing station, then opened as a hotel in 1894. It's great to call into these old outback pubs. They all have their own unique atmosphere. Apparently some of the Ned Kelly gang drank here. You never know what you might find.
crossing the border into New South Wales. A turn off to Lightning Ridge. And they're real sheep on the corner. I thought they were statues for a minute.
We just pulled into the Visitor Information Centre at Lightning Ridge. Just go in here and grab a map. And this is also the public fossicking area too. They bring in a truckload of fill and you can fossick through it for opals.
This is your main street, and your post office is bank, so to speak.
After a bit of a chat to the ladies at the information centre, we decided to book into one of the local caravan parks and check out some of the self-drive tours and some of the local attractions. The Red Door Tour. You hear a bit of machinery going in the background. All little mullock heaps everywhere out here. Little shanties. Half the time you don't know if they're occupied or not. We weren't real sure what to make of the signage around Amigo's castle. Yeah, this castle is a very unique attraction. It's built using local ironstone and taking over 20 years to build. It was built by an Italian-born opal miner. There's definitely more than one unique building in this area. Oh, bottle house. This is one of the area's attractions we were really looking forward to see. The walk-in mine. Plenty of machinery to look at first, and then the mine tour after that. Apparently it's an old FB Holden. This is part of the machinery that was once used out here.
There you go, bud. Go away, mate.
There's plenty of jewellery and opals on display here, but the main reason we were here was to do the mine tour. Down we go into the mine. Oh, you can feel the temperature drop. There's little alcoves in down here with movies going. You stand here and watch them, all about the process of doing the opals. There's a lot of information on not just mining, but the different types of opal. It's like a little rabbit warren. Oh, I can't even quite stand up in here without belting my head.
These are the spaces in the rocks where the opals are usually found, so they say.
And that's the way out.
Don't know which one I want yet. There's lots to look at.
After we got through Chris's dilemma on which necklace to buy, we headed down to the artesian bore baths.
That's the little artesian bore bath.
The water in these pools comes from the Great Artesian Basin.
And that's the big one.
They maintain between 40 and 50 degrees Celsius. Definitely not as warm as the water will be in there. After a cold water shower, getting into an artesian pool at 40 degrees really takes your breath away. Lightning Ridge has its own big attraction, Stanley the Emu. At 18 metres tall, he's made from V-dub bonnets and doors, perched on a couple of giant girders. We were told we shouldn't miss out on a trip to the Growan and Glengarry Opal fields. The club in the scrub was started in the mid-70s. It was entirely built by volunteer labour, and it's one of the very few clubs left in New South Wales with no form of gambling. It survives totally from over the bar sales and from members volunteering for shifts behind the bar. No matter where you look out here, there's just little humpies everywhere. Some of them you can hear generators running, a little bit of machinery going. There's just little mullock heaps and little shanties everywhere. The quick beer at the Glengarry Hilton, then on to the Sheepyard Inn, which makes up the trio of watering holes for the locals. This sign just about sums it up for out here. Bit of an eye-opener. Chris couldn't resist trying a luck in the public fossicking area, using a water squirter to help sort out any colour. You're finding a few bits.
Yeah. That was an unusual bit.
We didn't find a fortune, so we moved on to Bourke, not realising it was the weekend, so no shops open today. Pretty much everything is boarded up. Every shop, even the cafes. The historic wharf in Bourke is a replica of one of the 3 original wharfs that were built in 1898 for loading and unloading the paddle steamers. This is all the different height loading areas under the wharf. It is pretty amazing, this. Where the paddle steamers came up the Darling River. Pretty good, isn't it? These posts, how old would they be? Massive great posts.
Amazing how busy it would have got here in the day.
Oh yeah, it would have been a real thriving hub because all those paddle steamers, that's how they got all their freight up and down, was on the river.
That's it.
Well, we found a nice spot here on the Darling River. We're only probably 5 k's out of Bourke. Beautiful, there's no one around, apart from the odd boat or jet ski going past every now and then. We've got the yabby pots in and the fishing line, so I'm all set. Just about got the water boiling. Ready to cook some yabbies up. Cooking the yabbies in salt water, and once they're cooked, which is about now, I'll take them out of the salt water, drop them straight in a real icy salt water slurry that is cold. Stop them cooking straight away. I'm only doing a few at a time, one because I've got heaps of time, and like anything, you don't want the water to go off the boil, otherwise you'll tend to stew them. Well, that's the end result. Got about 10 good sized yabbies there. I'm really keen to have a go at them. Our next camp was at Cobar on the Newey Reserve. It's a lovely free camp overlooking the water. Cobar Shire is almost the equivalent to the same size as Tasmania. It's well known for its copper and gold mining. The Heritage Centre has a great display of some of the early mining equipment used here. A trip to Cobar wouldn't be complete without a visit to Fort Bourke Hill Lookout and the mine. Driving around the town, we came across this beautiful old Catholic church. Time to fuel up, and then we'll travel south to Mount Hope and then turn off to Lake Cargelligo. We came across a few herds of wild goats. We were taking the back road into the Weir just for a couple of days camping. The roads are pretty good, but they are very dusty.
Well, we've pulled up at the Weir outside of Lake Cargelligo. It's just beautiful. Got the yabby pots in again. We'll see how we go. And Kev's enjoying his beer. Cheers.
We love being able to have an open fire and cook with the camp oven. It always tastes so much better. I don't know how many people we're feeding. Might have overdone the veggies a bit, but anyway, we're not going to go hungry. That's it. Narrandera was our next stop. We were there to visit some friends. We stayed at the showground and borrowed our friend's gurney to give the ute and the caravan a really good wash. We were due for a new set of tyres on the van. It's great to get some local knowledge on where to get the best deals. We only had to travel about 25 kilometres. We got a great deal from the local bloke at Leeton. One of the worst things, we've got to unhook to be able to get the spare tyre out. The jack stand gets in the way. Every time we wash the van, it brings on the rain. Every single time. We called into a free camp right on the Murrumbidgee River on the outskirts of Hay.
Beautiful.
The town of Hay has 5 museums, including the Jail Museum, the War Museum, and the Outback Australian Shearers Hall of Fame. It's obvious this town has a lot of pride in their old buildings. This Westpac Bank building was spectacular. Deniliquin on the Edward River is famous for the Denny Ute Muster, one of Australia's premier rural festivals. Our plan was to camp at the Golden Crossing, right on the Murray. Clearance 2 metres. And we're way taller than 2 metres. So we got a lot of reversing to do. That's what happens if you don't do your homework. After having a bit of trouble finding the spot, we finally found it, right near the boat ramp. We just took one wrong turn. We're far enough away from any of the big gummies. We don't need to worry about them dropping branches on us. And we've got the fire going, ready to do a chook on the rotisserie. How are you going, mate?
On the GoPro, am I?
Yep.
Sweet. G'day, GoPro. Alright, just a quick press this, please. Thank you.
No worries.
Safe travel, all the best.
Okay,
Thank you. It's along this road on the right somewhere up here. It's the one. Excellent.
We're in Swan Hill, just topping up the water supplies. It's a shame there's a few more towns that don't do this to supply us with a good watering point. The pioneer village at Swan Hill was definitely worth a visit. It's set up like a small town. It'll be an easy way to spend a half a day here with around 50 restored buildings, Cobb & Co coaches and vintage machinery. It's the oldest hearse I've ever seen. We were keen to jump on the paddle boat for a cruise up the river to the Murray Downs homestead, which was built in 1839. This boat had the same basic driveline as the old paddle steamers, except it had a diesel engine. River here.
Holy dooly. Holy dooly.
Houseboats down here. Oof. Big flash ones.
There it is. Welcome to Victoria. Again.
Due to the rain earlier in the week, the camp spot we'd chosen wasn't much chop at all. While we're having a look around the camp area, we met up with Peter, one of the locals. Wasn't just happy to tell us about his favourite camp spot, he actually led us to one of the best spots on the river.
A bit further because there's a nicer spot down there a bit further.
Yeah. Our camp spot for the next few days, right here on the Murray. We're going to just watch the houseboats cruising up and down right near the water here. Peace and quiet, it's absolutely beautiful. Welcome to South Australia. Quarantine checkpoint.
Whereabouts you guys been?
oysters. I'm going to help them out fix that problem. Potatoes there in water, is that okay?
Yeah, potatoes are fine anyway.
Oh,
as long
okay.
as they're clean, they're fine here.
Yep.
Potatoes, carrots, onions. Yeah, it goes down to where it comes from.
Yep.
Yeah, all fruit except pineapple. You can bring a pineapple through. Fruit fly doesn't affect pineapple.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
thank you. I'll just check a couple of spots.
Go to your line.
Got that many spots. Beautiful. Pantry. Is that a pantry?
That's pantry there.
Caravans are also different.
Going into Western Australia, they're a lot more thorough, a lot more
Yeah,
strict over there.
they've got a lot more to find than we do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, cool.
Thank you very much.
You have a
Thank
lovely
you.
trip.
Our last camp on the Murray. This one is Cowell at the Graham Claxton Reserve. Right down the end there you can just see the ferry through the trees. We'll be heading down there shortly to cross the Murray for the last time.
How many times do you cross this a day?
Old mate operating the ferry, he was a real chatterbox. We've never crossed on a ferry towing a caravan before, but off we go towards the salt water.
We're on the Wakefield Highway now, heading up towards Port Germain, where we're going to stay for a couple of nights, so I can get some washing done, and it's raining.
The jetty at Port Germain is close to 1.5 kilometres long, so hiring a trolley from the caravan park is a great idea. $5 a day, it's money well spent. They're a great little trolley, aren't they? Carting all the gear out.
Fantastic. Yep. Yay!
Alrighty, we got our feed of crabs. Time to go home and cook them. We got about 10 or 11 good ones. So, be good for a feed. Got a nice ice slurry to keep them cool. Oh, she's boiling good now. I'll just put 2 in there, get them back on the boil, then I'll throw a couple more in. You don't want to stew them, you just want them to boil really hard and really fast. Take them out of that boiling water, straight into the ice slurry. It makes the meat come away from the shell, makes them easier to peel, and I reckon it sweetens them up a bit too. The rewards for a hard day on the water. Beautiful.
Coming into Cowell. Gonna see if Kev can get his oysters.
Hopefully Turner's oysters are still open.
Kevin Chris. up in Australia. What a bloody good job.
All right. Well, good day. I'm going to eat.
Welcome to South Australia, that's what I say.
Right. Good on you.
Enjoy.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, lovely.
It's only a small township, but it has a real quaint fishing village feel about it. It's well known as an excellent crabbing area, so I'll definitely have to make a point to come back and check it out. Cowell has some beautiful stone buildings. It just seems like there's nothing here that's out of place. Cowell has an excellent free camp. It was set up by the Lions Club. It's only a few kilometres from the town itself, and it's got water views. What more could you want? We're making our way down the east side of the Eyre Peninsula. We're heading down to some of the campsites down from Cowell. It's on the dirt road. It's a bit ordinary. There's very few trees around down here. There are just so many camping areas overlooking the ocean. With the weather turning rough over the next couple of days, we decided to head into Arno Bay Caravan Park. The plan was to go out and catch some squid and get it on video. Once the weather cleared, we checked out the boardwalk. It was built by the whole community over 2 years. Great job.
We're coming into Port Lincoln. Gee, there's some very palatial houses here.
The size of some of these boats is amazing. Port Lincoln is known for its fishing industry and for its seafood. You can tell by the size of some of these vessels, they go a long way out. Port Lincoln is one of the few naturally deep water ports in Australia. It makes it very attractive to the large bulk grain carriers. There's a massive grain loading facility here. The bronze statue of Makybe Diva, the famous racehorse, is situated on the foreshore. We're really looking forward to going to Farm Beach camping area. It's about 50 kilometres from Port Lincoln and only $10 a night, and it's known for its great fishing. Easy as that. Good to go. It doesn't take us very long to get the trailer and the boat set up. pretty much ready to go. All we need now is the fish. You can see why it's called Farm Beach. It looks like an old tractor wrecking yard, but some of these are still used for launching and retrieving the boats on the beach. Well, this is where the tractors really come into play. Because the water is so shallow for such a long way out, we decide to play it safe and unhook and push our trailer out by hand instead. That way we weren't risking getting the ute bogged in the salt water. Not a big one. Might have to go back.
Poor little thing.
Yeah. We've got our nice few whiting. Got a couple of good thumpers in there. We've ended up with 8 keepers. Now they're in the scaler bag. We'll throw them out in the drink. Throw them along behind the boat and they get rid of all the slime and all the scale off them.
Going down for another fish at Farm Beach. It's not bad fishing here.
Looking for the sandy patches in amongst the weed, fish for the whiting there and let the squid jig float out over the weed beds. Rather than working the squid jig, we use a weighted float with the jig about 1 metre under the surface and let the movement of the water do all the action. Absolutely dead calm day. We've got Gallipoli Beach in the backdrop. Not a breath of wind.
Yeah, it's popped up again.
Yeah, just waiting for it to go back down. Probably grab it again. Yeah, he wants it. We love fishing for squid. We keep the tubes for ourselves and use the tentacles for bait. We've got him this time.
The net's right there at your feet.
He's not happy.
Ooh, he's not happy.
And he's a good size too. Another good one, like the last one.
Look at that ink.
Here we go. Nice squidly.
Awesome.
A fairly warm afternoon, so it's time to do some sightseeing in the ute with the aircon on. We're keen to see where the four-wheel drive track takes us up past Gallipoli Beach.
I don't like all these branches sticking out and scratching our car. Oh my gosh.
It's worth having to polish out a few light scratches for scenery like this. Making a few stops on the way towards Smoky Bay. First was the Cummings Monument and Lookout. It was named after a lost crew member off a cray boat in the 1950s. There's a bit of a cave down there, yeah. Pretty rugged. Next stop was Murphy's Haystacks. These granite outcrops are really quite bizarre. They look so out of place in the surrounding landscape. We were lucky enough to catch up with the landowner Dennis. It was originally his grandfather's farm. It's now been in the family for 4 generations.
And what was your first name?
Dennis.
Dennis.
Our campsite for last night, Palubi Beach. We're just in behind the dune. You can actually camp on the beach, but the sand seemed a little bit soft, so we weren't quite game to take the van onto the sand. Beautiful backdrop. We were glad to get to Smoky Bay. The weather was supposed to be great for the next few days. We wasted no time getting the boat off, and waking up to a view like this, we were just itching to get out there and go fishing. Even our friends, Kim and Ali, the owners of the caravan park, couldn't resist a day like this out in the water. Kim keeps up to date with where the fish are biting, and it's usually not too hard to prize the information out of him. First things first, we had to catch some squid for bait. Well, I got the squid, but he nearly got me. Beautiful.
Ew. Yum. That's disgusting.
He's a nice size squid too.
He is a good squid.
These are better size. And they're slippery. He's about a 36. They're good fish.
Awesome.
Another one. Not as good as the last one, but he's still a legal fish. It's a good one.
Oh. 2 lines going.
2 lines going at once.
Oh, look at the other one.
There you go, my first ever. Double header on whiting. They're both keepers.
Good job.
Octopus.
Oh, don't let him squirt at me.
We've only just got him, so I don't like these things. I want to get him off.
Oh, yuck. Good on you.
All the things they are. Every time we change spots, the dolphins followed us. They just wanted to have a game, swimming under the boat as we go along. Get him from up here if you want. You got grips on the lens, love. That is one ugly looking crab, isn't it?
Yep. Yuck. Put it away.
One of the things we really love about Smoky Bay is that you can buy oysters straight from the growers. We were lucky enough to turn up and they're processing the oysters ready for the market. It's amazing to watch the processing of the oysters. This machine scans each one individually for size, then using compressed air it blows them off the belt into the bags for that particular size. Each oyster is graded many times over its lifespan before it reaches the perfect size for the market. Each bag contains 30 dozen oysters. They're sent all over the country, first to Adelaide, then they're distributed to their final destination. It can be as far as Perth, Darwin or Brisbane. There's a mock set up across the road which shows all the different size baskets and how they're all attached.
It's really rough.
Yeah.
And they do better in rougher water because the waves keep turning them around all the time and you haven't got a little one sitting on the bottom and
Yeah.
Bigger ones sitting on top, they all
And would that knock the frills off them as well?
knocks the frills off them,
Yeah,
keeps
okay.
working them,
Yep.
and you have less deaths.
Yep.
Yeah.
The owners of Smoky Bay Oysters, Linton and Josie, invited us out to join them for a trip out to their oyster lease, out on their barge. First job was to reload the lines with oysters that had just been graded.
So these Baco clips that we use, we recycle the line that tensions through here,
Yeah.
and we make clips out of them to hold baskets to the lines. Andrew might be able to show you.
There's a lot more to oyster farming than we thought, with checking of the stock, the grading, and then upsizing the baskets so they've got room to grow. Okay, and how long do they stay in there for?
Well, some of these can probably be graded, and those ones there will go into a 12mm mesh.
Okay.
So these here, I'll probably leave them another few weeks, or maybe even a month, and then grade them again, and then we'll put them into a different basket there.
A quick trip across the bay, over to another lease where they keep their nursery stock. Okay, so about 3,000 oysters in each section. About 10,000 oysters in there. And where did this sprat come from?
That's come from Port Lincoln. Yeah.
Okay. They're tiny, aren't they? That's what they start off as.
These are 4mm oysters. Earlier in the year we've been getting 2mm oysters, so they've been half the size of this.
Oh, yeah.
But you get a lot more higher mortality
In the smaller
in the
ones?
smaller ones, yeah. Over there, some Adams. The one's ferry down the end. If you want to go grab it at the very end tray of that batch.
So you go 3 mil
Yep.
up to 6.
6, then to 12, then 17 and sometimes 20. Probably grade the sort of
Okay.
a lot bigger. But you still get your little ones. Yeah, a lot of that stuff there is probably all dead. That's probably all mortalities just from being smaller seed. Most of it, all the live ones. You get some
Are growing.
some grow like that, but
Yep.
so that's the size. That's the size we got these ones. Is all these are the ones. Yeah. So that's half the size
Of the other ones, yeah.
It's difference between 2 and 4 mil. So every tray you can just see in the corner here, you're going to get
And that's where all
a
your
lot of that's probably going to be mortalities. It doesn't look like a lot of oysters, but there's probably 500 oysters there.
Join us on our next DVD as we make our way back to Port Augusta, on to Broken Hill, up to Cameron Corner, visit the Dinosaur Museum at Eromanga, and then make our way over to the Queensland coast.